Atlanta on December 12th. 4 bands will qualify for the big stage, where 2 national champions will be crowned. Follow us for rankings updates throughout the season, and join us on December 12th for event and ticket information.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want a law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. We have none other than Stephen A. Gaither, a Ram New Day.
Oh, Coach Killer.
Is this how you feeling? Yeah, Coach. Yeah. He put off the ledge. We talk about the ledge. He like, bye.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. With that being said, let's get into something a little more positive. We're going to look into the top 7 list and have Steve join Charles and Wilton and tell us exactly what he thinks. And then when we get into the last segment, we're going to take a deeper dive in these CIAA matchups, SIAC championship games that we have. But let's get into it. Let's talk about those teams. This is last week's poll, week number 9. Great job. This is week number 9 polls. As things stood last week, we had some top 7 matchups. Virginia State Trojans rolled in at number 7. They were not ranked and jumped in there. We'll get to see this week, do they stay in the top 7? At number 6, you have Fayetteville State Broncos. At number 5, you had Kentucky State Thoroughbreds. At number 4, you had Benedict Tigers. At number 3, Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls. At number 2, Virginia Union Panthers. At number 1, Albany State Golden Rams. Again, that was last week. Let's see what happens this week after this set of games were played. Move forward a little bit in terms of the scores as we get into it. We have number 1, you have Albany State over Fort Valley State 48-3. Albany State improves to 9-1, 8-0. Fort Valley State falls to 4-6, 4-4. The number 2 team was a top 7 matchup I alluded to with number 2 defeating number 7, 14-3. Defensive matchup there, if you would. Virginia Union improves to 9-1, 7-0. Number 7 was Virginia State falling to 6-4, 4-3. Getting into that number 3 matchup was Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls. They improved to 9-1, 6-1 as they defeat Livingston Blue Bears that fall to 5-5, 3-4, 26-21. Getting to number 4 in terms of our matchup is Benedict Tigers. That defensive matchup was a double overtime 16-13 game. Benedict Tigers defensively improved to 9-1 overall, 7-1 in terms of the conference race, while Savannah State Tigers fall to 4-6, 3-5. Getting us to number 5, another team out of the SIAC. Kentucky State Thoroughbreds are 8-2 overall, 7-1 as they defeat Lane, shuts them out 55-0 to make a statement as the Lane Dragons mercifully end their season at 0-10. 0-8 in the conference race. Moving on to number 6 in terms of that was Fayetteville State. They improved to 6-4, 6-1, 31-21 after the Winston-Salem State was winning at halftime. The Rams in their season falling to 4-6, 2-5, and somehow Gaither finds a way to, with all the hurt, smile. With it all. So I give it to him. Let's get into what we're really here for is the top 7. Dropping out this week, not a team dropped out. So that means the top 7 are the same. We'll see if it stays the same in terms of what that looks like. Receiving votes, Allen Yellow Jackets improved to 5-5, closing out really solid on this season, improving to 5-3. Put themselves in a position to play an additional game to see if they can find a way to get in the playoffs. Credit to coaching over there with the Yellow Jackets getting it done. Bringing us to the second team outside of that, essentially number 9, Livingston Blue Bears finished the season at 5-5, 3-4, 130 points. And Edward Water Tigers that were number 1 during the season, particularly when they had that victory over Virginia Union, had a tough major division matchup that a lot of people at the time thought they were going to win. Didn't go their way against Bethune-Cookman, and we found out Bethune-Cookman actually is pretty good this year. Then they took that long road trip to Kentucky State, where we actually found out they were also pretty good this year. So you look at the schedule for Edward Waters, boy. They took on some teams. They got the big win in terms of Virginia Union, but tough losses. Bethune-Cookman, Kentucky State. Then they face Benedict College. That's up in the championship game. They lost to them in terms of that matchup. And then, as we said, closing out, they lost to Allen and found themselves in receiving votes. So credit to Edward Waters, highs and lows of a season. But let's get in that top 7. Virginia State Trojans, they stay there even though they had the tough loss, essentially losing to the number 2 team, 6-4, 4-3, 104 points. They were ranked 7th, so they should be number 7 also this week. Moving up to number 6 as we continue to move through, State Broncos stay at number 6, 6-4, 6-1, 146 points. You may see a refrain here as we move into the top 5. At number 5, we have Kentucky State. Thoroughbreds are 8-2, 7-1, 161 points. They stay in the 5th position. Bringing us to number 4, Benedict Tigers, 9-1, 7-1, 178 points. They continue to win, get it done. Defensive team, but they are getting the W's. They remain at number 4, getting up to 9 wins on the season. Incredible season they've had thus far. Bringing us to number 3, Johnson C. Smith, the Golden Bulls, 9-1, 6-1, 2 first-place votes, 109-2. Some people believe they should be number 1. 3 first-place vote as they stay in that position. Stephen does not agree with that. At number 2, he did not vote him number 1. He's telling on himself. Virginia Union Panthers at 9-1, 7-0, 3 first-place votes, 204 points. They remain at the 2nd position. He's fine with that, at least. He's not giving any early tails. At number 1, we have Albany State Golden Rams, 9-1, 8-0, 4 first-place votes, 206 points. They remain at number 1. Since we have Steve Gaither as the guest, we're going to ask him to give his thoughts first. Go ahead. What do you think in week number 10, Dr. Cavill's HBCU mid-major division football poll rankings? What are your thoughts?
You know what, Doc? I'm literally okay with all of this.
Yes.
I'm okay with all this. Yeah, I mean, VSU, last year they skated in the CIAA championship, even though they were the 4th best team. They lost to 3 others. They skated in. Didn't happen this year, but hey, 6-4, you can't argue with it. Fayetteville State.
Tell us how you really feel, Stephen.
Fayetteville State. I mean, they beat VSU. They did their thing. Kentucky State, obviously very impressive, despite the smear campaign that's trying to go on with them. Benedict, obviously, again, who thought that, second year after Chennis Berry leaves, that they're, not that far off from, 9-1 record is Sterling in there in the championship game. Johnson C. Smith has not Johnson C. Smith did yet. So
yes.
They almost did. Livingstone kind of had him, and then the feed went out over there at Beatty's Ford Road.
Just saying.
The oldest HBCU football rivalry there is. So that happened, and then but nah, you can't. That's why first place vote. There's no way that you could give them a first place vote over Virginia Union. They beat them head to head handily, and then Albany State. The only losses to FAMU. So.
Yeah, good stuff. Good breakdown. I appreciate you acknowledging that the voters in my mathematical algebraic equation works. With that being said, Wilton, what are your thoughts?
No, I kind of echo Steve. This poll is good. It's definitely solid. Only thing I would have switched, this is just me. I would have switched Johnson C. Smith and Benedict. That's just my opinion. Mm-hmm. Both are kind of had their trials and tribulations toward the latter part of the season. With Benedict, we know that they don't always score points consistently. And Johnson C. Smith, I've been one to say, has given me scares over the last couple of weeks. It took really the point of what Steve was talking about. He knows exactly what happened last year, and I had fears of it potentially happening this year, but it didn't. And I'm hoping that, with the championship, it may not happen, and Johnson C. Smith will take this ride off into the championship, but that remains to be seen. So, overall, though, this poll is solid.
The commissioner's trophy went to the SIC 4-3. Ooh! But in seriousness, I think you got a point there. If the game is in South Carolina, Johnson C. Smith Benedict, you still lean Johnson C. Smith?
Yes.
Obviously, if the game's in Charlotte, you're leaning Johnson C. Smith.
Yeah.
Okay. Steven, you agree or disagree?
He disagrees.
I mean, I'm not a complete hater. JCSU has, they've done a lot of good things this year. I think it'd be a really good game. The Benedict offense is, it can be spotty for me. So there's that. I mean, you look at a common opponent, and I think there's maybe a couple of them. I'm not sure Benedict played Morehouse, but I do know that both teams played Fayetteville State. Of course, Benedict got that 10-0 win over Fayetteville State, and they shut them out. Johnson C. Smith was able to go on the road to Fayetteville and get that dub. So, I think you're really kind of splitting hairs there. And both teams' losses are to the two teams that are at the top, right? I think that was yeah. So, I think that's about right. Benedict has a VUL win in there, though. A Morehouse win actually means a little bit more than a VUL win this year. So I'll give them that. So I would say that their schedule a bit stronger when you factor that in.
I like the way you brought in the schedule. Good job there. Charles, a partner in crime. What are your thoughts in terms of the top 7?
Well, Doc, first and foremost, I'm reminded how petty Jackson State folks are because they wanted Florida A&M to receive votes in your mid-major poll. So I'm getting all that. But
they are not eligible. That's not right.
I have to deal with that. But I think for the most part, I think it's you hit the nail on the head with this. I can't, I'm fighting,
He's trying to find a nit to pick, but
I'm fighting between Benedict and Johnson C. Smith, but I just the fact that Benedict has been, offense will be there sometimes, and sometimes you won't see him. So I can go with Johnson C. Smith there at 3. So.
Yeah, Johnson C. Smith has had the same issue. Even Gaither acknowledged that. Some points offensively look really good, other times not so much. So I think they're similar, which brings up the last question. I think we have the perfect person to talk about that because he knows the rich history, culture associated with CIAA, and for that matter, mid-majors. But I would like all your opinions on this. Obviously, we have a championship game. And in this case, the winner we know goes to the playoffs because of the record where they sit. But MEAC SWAC, they've tied their teams to a bowl game. What would you think if you had a bowl game that potentially could face off with these 4 teams, probably going in this? I won't open it up for the next segment, but I'm guessing many of y'all are going to pick Albany State over Benedict and Virginia Union on Johnson C. Smith. What about a bowl, mid-major bowl matchup that would feature the Golden Rams against the Panthers? Charles, I'll let you start off this mix.
Golden Rams against the Panthers. Oh, man, I like the Panthers in that. That would be a fun one to watch. I would lean on Virginia Union with that. It's hard for me to go against Curtis Allen on any matchup in that top 4.
I'm gonna save Steve for last because I know he doesn't like this. He likes the playoff, and the coach is not there for the bowl game. But I still want him to answer questions, so I'm gonna save him a little bit last to make him stew in this a little bit. Wilton, what are your thoughts in terms of a matchup between the Golden Rams and the Panthers?
I definitely think it would be, believe it or not, as much as we know that Virginia Union has a solid defense, I would be excited to see what Isaiah Knowles looks like going against Virginia Union's defense. Ooh, I would pay good money to see that.
Yeah, that would be one to watch.
Yeah, I would love to see that matchup, but I think I would probably lean a little bit more toward Virginia Union as well.
Well, between y'all two, I'm gonna tell John Grant, clip this. Make it work. And with that being said, let me go to Stephen Gaither. He had an article, hopefully you all saw this, but you might have missed it a couple of times back, where he was going back into some futuristic matchups of when we were having the Heritage Bowl and setting up what if these two teams would play what would the outcome? Doing some of the reframing and using AI and all the data metrics is out there. And he was telling you who won. So I guess I'm gonna push this forward to do it on the other side and said, hey, what if we had the bowl? What were your thoughts between the Golden Rams and Panthers as they faced off? Who do you see?
Yeah, I like Albany State. I just don't know that they have seen a Curtis Allen. I've seen Curtis Allen up close, personal. If he's not on your team, it's very scary. The man runs fast, he jumps high, and yeah.
The Superman.
I mean,
Nightmares.
and if you got him a little extra motivated, oh boy. So but I do like that question that was thrown out about the facts in the Albany State team. The Virginia Union has given up some points now, especially in the passing game. We talk about the Edward Waters game and how that was back and forth. And in that same game that they ran all over Winston-Salem State did score 34 points. Nobody else has scored 34 against them except for Edward Waters, by the way. But anyway, when you get in a 16-point hole, that kind of didn't help you. Anyway, a passing game, a team with a really good passing game can do well. I know that when they played against, now again, Johnson C. Smith, they have a really good passing game with Durham, but he wasn't able to really, be explosive, and they only scored 10 points against Virginia.
Right.
So I think Isaiah Knowles, much like my guy Dalen Lee, they could possess some problems for Virginia Union, because I think there's some stuff to be had with that passing game, and that pass defense against Virginia Union. So,
that would be a hell of a 1-2 matchup to kick things off if that was the work. The thing is, we do get a little bit of this. If both teams can win, they do have the contractual agreement that the CIAA will play the SIAC, open up the season in the Black College Hall of Fame football game. Yeah. So we get the tease. Obviously, there'll be some changes in. What will they look like? Hopefully, there ain't changes in the coaches, or maybe we do hope that, depending on if you're on the ledge this season.
Change isn't a bad thing.
Oh my God! Somebody get Steve.
Steve say he got the bag. I got the bag.
Yep.
Let's take our last break.
Change is not a bad thing.
Exactly. I agree with you. Let's take our last break, come back on the other side and have a little more fun. This time we're going to actually get into the matchups to see actually what they think as we kind of tease some things out. But they're going to give you the reason why they think a certain way they do in terms of the CIAA championship game. Again, we'll feature Johnson C. Smith, Golden Bulls. It will be in North Carolina. Maybe that's some home field advantage there in terms of home state, if you would. Versus Virginia Union Panthers, last year's champion, according to my mid-major poll rankings. Also went further in the playoffs, if you would, compared to Miles. And then you have Albany State Golden Rams revitalizing their program and facing a Benedict Tigers that is coming back to a championship game, third time in 4 years. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this last break, and we'll get right into that discussion.
The Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
With over 25 years of serving our communities, Destiny Financial Services, a division of Global Life, is here to help you and your family through difficult times. From cancer care to accidental industries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life, but you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call DFS at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com. That is 877-300-8269, or again, the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year, a title reserved for elite HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 12th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be examined by the toughest judges in the world of college bands. 4 will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for rankings updates throughout the season. And join us in Atlanta on December 12th for event and ticket information.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab with none other than Charles Bishop Wilton Jackson II and Stephen A. Gaither. With that being said, let's go with the first matchup. We're going to start in the SIAC because they have the number 1 ranked team, at least according to the poll rankings this week, which is the Albany State Golden Rams that come in at 9-1, 8-0, 4 first place votes. They're facing number 4, the Benedict Tigers, that are 9-1, 7-1. The obvious thing out there in terms of this matchup is they played each other before. In terms of that matchup, Albany State really got it done in terms of defeating Benedict 31-3. The Tigers were not able to score that field goal until the end of the game. And overall, when you look at total yards, the Golden Rams had 493 and Benedict just had 217. Of that 493, 294 was in the air, but they also were able to rush just under 200 yards at 199. With that being said, Benedict couldn't rush but for 59 yards. They did put up 158 in the air, had a turnover in terms of in that game of what it looks like, but just one for 10 on third downs. So kind of setting up the stage for you. With that being said, let me go with you, Charles, first on this one. What are your thoughts in terms of this SIAC championship game, 1 versus 4? Both teams come in with 9 rankings, but they played with each other and it wasn't a contest. Can Benedict Tigers find a way to make this a game?
You know, when I started kind of looking at it, I thought if Benedict can sort of match what Savannah State did to Albany State, that was the thing. You know, in terms of looking at the teams Albany State played this season, really the loss is to a major team, Florida A&M. They struggled with Tuskegee, but you know they had the quarterback issues then with the injuries at quarterback. But Savannah State was the game that I kind of honed in on. That was a 21-18 game, but they were able to get to Albany State's quarterback. They were able to sack him 4 times. The question for me is, can they get to the quarterback? Can they create some turnovers and create some extra possessions? But you know, all that being said, you know, best predictor of future performance is past performance. You got to go with Albany State in this.
Stephen Gaither, that game was in South Carolina, Columbia. So they were at home. This time they got to go on the road. Any chance they can find a way, a puncher's knockout? How do they get this done if they're able to win?
Well, I think the first thing that they have to do is get someone to go to Albany State's campus and throw like the greatest party ever Go over to the hotels and the paper towel and TP them or something. I don't know. I just I mean, they were dominant before Albany State, and again they were on the road. This time they're at home, championship. I know my good friend Dr. Christine Kelly over there at Albany State University is making sure that that they are prepared and making a big time event for them. So the only way I can see it is maybe if besides the disruption in the space-time continuum, maybe Albany State just doesn't take them seriously and just not quite sharp here and there. But I just don't see it. I think that Albany State is a team on the mission in his third season there. Quinn Gray has got that program rolling where they feel like they should be over in the SIAC and making a march towards the NCAA playoffs. So, I don't see it. I don't see it. Sorry to those Tigers.
I get it. Talking about Coach.
The other Rams will become the champions.
Exactly. Quinn Gray has gotten past that early controversy he's gotten, particularly if he can get this win here. So let me go to you, Wilton, from this perspective. Does Benedict Tigers have to keep this in a certain range to make sure they don't lose a playoff spot, or are they good there, regardless of the outcome of this matchup?
They absolutely have to do that. This is the time of the year where everything matters when it comes to playing in a game, and whether win or loss, depending on how you lose a game, that always plays a factor in certain things. We see it even on the larger scale schools in the nation when it comes to football. But when I look at this game, you know that whole saying of it's hard to beat a team twice. But in this particular case, I just don't see Benedict having enough to beat Albany State. Just too dominant on offense with Albany State. We talked about Isaiah Knowles, what he's been able to do, the way they're able to get to the red zone and score. I mean, Benedict would have to absolutely have Darius Ocean play almost perfect. They would have to be able to stop them in terms of even when Albany State gets to the red zone, they would have to force them into field goals, and then their offense, Benedict's offense, would have to be efficient to be able to keep up in terms of points. Seen Benedict struggle over the last several weeks, really, through over the course of the season in terms of their offense being spotty. So I think this is definitely going to be a year where Albany State gets the championship.
Good stuff. That'll be interesting. Let's go to our next one. Let's go to the CIAA. With the CIAA matchup championship game, it's a 2 versus 3. Number 3, Johnson C. Smith Golden Bulls come in at 9-1 and 6-1. At number 2, Virginia Union Panthers 9-1 and 7-0. You see that Johnson C. Smith, the Golden Bulls, have one loss. Well, guess what? That one loss was to this Virginia Union Panthers. In terms of that matchup, it was in Richmond. In terms of that matchup, 28-10. I will say this, it was just 14-10 at half, so maybe that's something to lean on, but I'm going to say Stephen A. last to really give a breakdown. So I'm going to go back to you, Wilton. What are your thoughts in terms of this matchup? I think you kind of teased this out a little bit, but give us a little more detail in terms of what you're seeing there. I will say this before I give it to you to give you some more indicators. Total yards, Johnson C. Smith put up 298. Virginia Union had 336. Of that, passing yards for Johnson C. Smith was 193. Virginia Union was able to put up 136. But Virginia Union does what they do, got most of it on the ground for 200 yards, while the Golden Bulls did rush for 105 in terms of that matchup. Third down efficiency, if you would, Johnson C. Smith was 4 of 12, while Virginia Union was just 2 of 8 in terms of what that looks like themselves. Wilton, what are your thoughts in this matchup? Which direction are you going?
Doc, you just gave it. You just gave me everything I needed to know, and even for those who don't know, but they should know by now. When Steve said in a couple of segments ago, when he said, like, I've seen Curtis Allen up close and in person. Now, I ain't seen him up close and in person, but he has. But from what I've seen on my TV screen and on my screens on social media, dude is a dog. And you just outlined, Dr. Cavil, like what he was able to do even against a Johnson C. Smith team that is strong defensively and is pretty strong in stopping the run. But again, when you have a Curtis Allen, it's a totally different story. So I expect Virginia Union to still run the ball behind Curtis Allen. If they basically control early downs with the run, And when they get into the red zone, if they're able to score touchdowns, I don't really see them being able to. I don't see Johnson C. Smith being able to slow them down consistently enough. And with Johnson C. Smith, in terms of like the inconsistency sometimes we've seen with them on offense, I just think it'll be a little bit more for Virginia Union. I think Virginia Union gets the win in this game.
Yes, HBCU game day put up the D2 Derrick Henry for a reason, huh? With that, Charles, what are your thoughts?
You know, I guess the question for me with Johnson C. Smith is, although Kevin Durham is a great quarterback in terms of him throwing the football, I think their best opportunity against Virginia Union is Bobby Smith. I mean, 37 attempts this past week for Johnson C. Smith. I want to see something like that against Virginia Union. Can you get him up and going? Can you get Johnson C. Smith running game up and going and just limit Virginia Union's opportunities? I mean, we know Curtis Allen is going to get the football. It doesn't matter. You could stack the box. You can do whatever it is you want to do against him, but he's going to get the football. He's going to get his carries. The big thing for me is keeping him off the field. Can you control the clock? Can you keep the chains moving? Can you score when you get close? And you do that with a hard running game. And just that stat jumped out for me, 37 attempts this past week with Bobby Smith. I think that's going to be that could be a key to victory for Johnson C. Smith, but I can't go against Curtis Allen. Virginia Union takes us.
Well, we saved the best for last. Stephen Gaither, break down the CIAA championship. I know you're going to do more detail on your show, but let's do your thoughts on this CIAA championship game. You're on mute, I guess.
Yeah, you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be
taking pause. Did you do that?
So bear with me. You guys can hear me?
Yeah, you do it. Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, so so you talked about this matchup. Okay, first off, this is the first time that Johnson C. Smith has been in the CIAA championship game. The last time it was on microfilm, right? So that's been 1972. It's been a long time coming for them. Virginia Union, obviously, they're looking for the three-peat. Had a chance to see Virginia Union up close and personal several times this year. But when you talk about run defense, just all things being equal, the run defense for these two teams is about the same on the year. If you look at just the stats, Johnson C. Smith is allowing 3.6 yards per rush and 9 touchdowns, and VUU is doing 3.5 and 7 touchdowns. So, in theory, that theory that was just put out about keeping the ball away from Curtis Allen, it seems plausible. But I said if all things were equal, and all things are not equal. The young man at Smith is a good back, but he's no Curtis Allen. Prove me wrong, but he's no. Curtis Allen is just a different animal. He's a grown man. I think, these two schools, I know you talked about as well. This is in North Carolina, but actually, I went ahead and did the math because I travel quite a lot. Okay. It's only a 7-minute difference between getting from to Durham from Charlotte and Richmond. It's pretty central. So I think at the end of the day, Virginia Union, their championship experience and pedigree, you can't go against it. But I also keep feeling like maybe, just maybe, this Johnson C. Smith team is a team of destiny. When my guy Wally Pitt said he was going to follow Johnson C. Smith, I'm like 3 years ago, I'm like,
why?
Okay. But, slowly but surely they built. And then last year, they went ahead and they Smithed. And I've talked about that all the time. And I am, because I got to keep them down here. And we got to stay up here, even though right now we're down here. And I don't want to hear them talking because they never won before. Anyway, I think Johnson C. Smith might be a team of destiny. Maybe.
It wouldn't come as a surprise.
But I'm gonna go Virginia Union. Yeah. Sorry, Smith.
So let me
Sorry,
ask you
Smith.
this as we start to close this out. I'm gonna start with you. Which would be a bigger upset, CIAA or in the SIAC? Go ahead, Stephen.
CIAA.
Okay.
I still think CIAA. I think you know, they're two-time defending champs. So
good stuff. Good stuff. Charles, bigger upset.
Yeah, I think I got to go Virginia Union. If Virginia Union gets knocked off, that would be the big upset to me.
Wilton Jackson, the second bigger upset.
I'm gonna complete the trio. Definitely saying that if Virginia Union lost, it would be something.
I'm a little surprised at that. Good stuff. Great job. Last thing here, just want to acknowledge the Kentucky State 8 will be finished as they will face up against Shorter. They have them at home, 2 p.m. kickoff in Frankfort, Connecticut. Also, don't forget that Allen University finished 4th, so they will host Erskine College out of the Carolina conference there. Stephen, I'm going to give you your final thoughts on this. What were your thoughts in terms of commission? You got to interviewing, putting this together early. We got the news and we put it out there in the HBCU space, and people may have forgot. But generally, how do you ask it this way? What were your thoughts in terms of the decision to put the conference in a position to create this matchup such that they could push forward and potentially have more teams in the playoffs? What were your thoughts on that?
I think that it was a move that was incredibly a lot of foresight. You know, again, the HBCUs in the playoffs, even at the Division II level, you know, we've had some long spells where teams just weren't getting in. That's why you saw, you know, the Pioneer Bowl at a certain point and different things like that. Fighting to get their respect is always tough, especially down in that Region 1, where traditionally the Gulf South, which Delta State is a part of, was really kind of running roughshod. So, you know, they have always had the advantage, but you know, again, I credit Commissioner Dr. Holloman as well as Commissioner McWilliams Parker over there at CIAA of really having a lot of foresight and thought. They pushed for the week 0, which we have in D2, and I'm sorry to coach, but it is week 0. It's its own week 0. You know, but and then also getting this deal with Conference Carolinas as well. That took a lot of foresight, just knowing, hey, you know, we've had years where we thought we had multiple teams that could get in the playoffs, and then they haven't because we have this. There's always been this debate about whether the team should keep the 10-game schedule plus the championship or go to the 11, like which has been conventional. But they're able to still do it their way, keep the championship game, which works for both HBCUs, but then also give those other schools a chance. And for the Gulf South, a conference that's used to having its way, being the SEC of Division II, you know, they're having a deal. They've been up top so long, they are not having that foresight to deal, or not even really just what's happening in the now, to deal with what's happening with them, where they're having their best leaving to go to Division I, and then they're having the Conference Carolina split off and take some of their teams too. There's only 4 teams in that league, so I know a lot of people are placing blame on Kentucky State, but there were contracts involved. I mean, there was always the chance that Kentucky State could be in the SIAC championship game, and that was literally a chance. And of course, they were going to go to that, no matter if this game. That didn't happen, and it wasn't for sure until Saturday when things played out the way that they did. So kudos to the commissioners of our D2 HBCU leagues, as well as our D1s. I think they're really doing an outstanding job of having foresight and also shaping the rules and the legislation of Division II. They have a lot. Their voices are rising quite a bit. So, yeah.
Excellent point. Perfect way to close it. Thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with none other than Charles Bishop, Wilton Jackson II, and Stephen A. Gaither, a Ram Blue Day.
It's Jay. A is the other guy.
The other
the other Ram.
That's pretty good. The other round.
The other one.
Even Jay gave the. I messed that up. Got too excited about the other guy, which I haven't watched in a while. After he made me mad. And great article you did in terms of your
Great article, Steve.
I don't know how I screwed that up from that perspective. Maybe I have that still on my mind. But with that being said, again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. As we'll be back on Thursday to talk about the next weekend in week 11 for the major division. I'm glad that you gave that little twist of arm to Brian and let him know, make sure he gets it correct. As I said, last week he finally got it correct on Sunday. I was proud of him. Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time and Sunday at 9 a.m. when we unveil one of our next major division poll rankings. We look forward to Thursday as we discuss the latest news in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's DrKenyattacavil. That's Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Charles.
Of course.
Wilton.
Lecture.
Stephen. Jay.
Dismissed.